Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. For this season 1, we're watching all the hits we missed in the Fast saga. This one is 2009's Fast & Furious.
Did you really just say ampersand?
Because every time I was looking for movie posters here before the show, and I kept searching Fast and Furious, and then it was like, no? You mean the Fast and the Furious? It's like, no, never mind.
So in Google searching, you can tell how frequently this particular film comes up.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like, that one didn't, the first one, right? Not the fourth one, right? Is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go.
No,
it's like Leisure Suit Larry. They just skipped one.
1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 3, 8, 9.
Yeah. Oh man, so we have arrived at the Phoenix's passing away to the eventual rebirth of the franchise here with Fast and Furious.
Honestly, you couldn't have came up with a better metaphor than that.
Yeah.
Because this is the downgrade. This is the pardon my puns for the people who've already seen the movie. This is the slope before things go crazy. Like this is let's just go downhill. And I've been struggling with this all week, if I'm completely honest, because I rate this as the least of the movies.
Okay.
I do. I can't help it. That's the way I feel about this movie. I don't think it deserves to be bashed as much as I have and will continue to do so.
You don't like it, but you don't hate it?
Yeah. It's like Terminator 3. If you take Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 out of the equation, Terminator 3 is a perfectly fine movie. It's not terrible.
It just
it's not
happened
great.
to have followed Terminator 2.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And in this case, Fast & Furious is a perfectly fine movie with 5 sequences of CG nightmarish mess.
Oh, no.
Yes, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But
Lightspeed.
Fast & Furious cannot help by the fact that it followed Tokyo Drift. And it cannot help by the fact that it is followed by Fast 5.
Sure. So it was a bad movie. So it sounds like it's a 1-2 punch of it's a bad movie because both of us liked
3.
Tokyo Drift a lot, and then 5 happens to be really great. So it's just like, well, 4 you kind of lose both ways.
It's the poop between the bread in this poop sandwich. Like it cannot help it. Honestly, I'm going to go into this with a bit more of an open mind. I'm going to hope that I can take more enjoyment out of this movie. There are things about this movie that I genuinely enjoy. Some things in this movie, I know I do. But then there's the CG nightmare.
Oh, man.
Like, I'm not kidding. Be prepared, because it gets real bad in places.
Yeah.
And I think, production-wise, it was a bad decision to do what they did for a couple of sequences in this movie. There's, obviously, there is still some good driving in it. There's still some interesting races and stuff, but there is also CG nightmares.
Yeah.
And you will probably not find a movie that feels more 2009 than this.
Okay.
You'll understand why when we get there.
Sure. So very much like the first movie, where it's sort of its era.
Yes.
This one feels a little too late in the 2000s, huh?
Yeah, it does. Because, like, say what you want about the 90s and the noughties, but there were some pretty good decades. And this is the end of the noughties, when everything is getting a real downer, heading towards the 2010s.
Right.
And it's like, it typifies the end of the 2000s, because it's just like, yeah, you're okay. You're not great, but, you know, you're fine.
You don't really have a style.
That's the one of the biggest things going into this is like, so, okay, I have made some notes. So just some things to talk about. The crew is back.
Yeah. What's up?
Kind of.
No.
By the crew, I'm talking specifically about 4 people.
Okay, that's more than I would have expected after the last couple.
Name those 4.
Paul Walker.
As
Dom.
What's Paul Walker's name? What's his character name?
Brian O'Connor.
There we go.
White guy, McWhite.
Honestly surprised that you remembered
that. Dom is probably back. I'm assuming like the big 2 are back.
Yes, those 2 are back.
Hopefully Ludacris is back.
Nope.
Ah, crap. Jordana Brewster.
Yep, there's the one I didn't expect you to get.
Okay.
What's her name, by the way?
Oh God.
It's only been 3 movies.
Yeah, she like disappeared halfway through the first movie.
Yep.
I don't remember. That's a great question.
Mia, I'm a cop. Mia, I'm a cop. Mia.
Mia, I'm a white guy. And probably, what's her face? Michelle Rodriguez.
Ding, ding, ding. He names all 4. So we get 2 guys and 2 girls from the original, and that is it.
Oh boy, okay.
Nobody else is back. No.
Wow.
Well.
Some cameos here and there, maybe?
No, I see. I don't feel good now saying that nobody's back. Okay, actually, my statement still stands. From the original crew, nobody is back. My statement stands.
Gotcha.
This is also the very first movie appearance of one Gal Gadot.
Oh, wow.
AKA Wonder Woman, for those listening.
Right.
This is her literal first full feature-length film.
Wow, cool.
So, get ready for some fun when you meet a whole bunch of people you don't know or care about.
Right. Well, and that's interesting because, to me, from the first movie, those 4 felt very much like the crew. You know, there was like the angry other guy and Jesse's dead, so whatever. You know, like there were a couple of other people.
I already forgot about the stoner dude. Like, that's what makes me laugh about this whole
I would have never. Gun to my head, I would have never remembered that dude. But, like, I think that sort of proves my point of, like, there were a lot of these other people, but, like, the 4 core family members were very much like those 4 people. Mm-hmm. So I'm
Leon was the stoner dude's name, by the way.
Okay.
Jesse's dead.
Yeah.
Leon's the stoner dude. Vince is the angry guy.
Right. Leon's now just featured in Final Fantasy VIII. But I'm assuming that we'll get some good scenes of like, hey man, what you been up to? Oh, it's been a while. Wink. You know, like,
Will we? Will we really?
Oh,
this is going to be the first movie where Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor have interacted since the end of Fast 1, when Dominic found out he was a cop and basically sabotaged his entire operation.
It's true. Yeah, and then like pieced out in that car.
Uh-huh.
After the world's weirdest drag race. Oh God!
Oh wow!
It's still one of my favorite scenes in this whole franchise so far has been
the import muscle car drag race for the train.
But like the beginning of that scene where it's like, you know, Paul Walker is chasing Dom through the city, and then all of a sudden Dom is just sitting at a stoplight and talking about like, when I was in high school. It's like, what is happening?
Yep.
What are you doing? It ended up cool, but like,
yes. Okay, so the crew's returned. Prepare yourself for CGI. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
We need to get it out the way for this one because this is the worst case of it. Obviously, 5, 6, 7, and 8 all have some CGI in it.
Sure.
But they seem to take a lesson from the reception from, you know, this one compared to previous movies.
Like, use as much practical racing stuff as you can because that's kind of what we're here for.
Yes. And this is also, funnily enough, the movie responsible for the franchise continuing.
Right. Like, Fast and the Furious had to die for Fast and the Furious to live.
Yes, because it's really, really weird, because obviously Tokyo Drift was kind of a bit of a write-off. This movie made more money in its opening weekend than Tokyo Drift did, period.
Wow, okay.
Yep. Estimated budget of $85 million. It grossed $360 million worldwide.
Wow. Did you go see this in the theaters when it came out? Okay.
I think I saw Tokyo Drift in the theaters. I saw one in the theaters, two in the theaters, Drift, and then this one, I was just like, I saw the trailers for it and I thought it looked cool, but then they showed some CGI stuff and I was just like, nope, I'm out.
Right, like, I'm not here for that.
And then I
wonder how much of it, of that warm reception was the crew coming back after
100%.
2 not having anybody except for Paul Walker, and then 3 just being this weird and slightly campy, enjoyable outlier.
Yep, I I cannot think that that's exactly what it is. It's like,
Right.
I think it's you take away Vin Diesel and 2 loses a bit of its luster.
Yeah.
2 is a good film, but 2 loses a bit of its luster because Vin Diesel's not in it. And at this point, Vin Diesel's kind of getting a bit of a name for himself. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Riddick,
and he's done Pitch Black. You know, he's getting a solid.
Starting to be an action star.
Yeah, he's done Triple X, and even though that's a terrible movie, it's still so good.
Right.
He's done that, and then you get Tokyo Drift, which doesn't have anybody in it, and then all of a sudden you see the Fast and the Furious trailer. You're like, oh, what actor biscuits have they got in to fulfill these roles?
What are we doing now?
And then you see it's Paul Walker and it's Vin Diesel again. It's like,
yeah,
wait, what are you doing? And then you learn it's a sequel to the first one, and you're like, whoa, okay, hold on.
You're like, all right, yeah, erasing the other 2. All right, that sounds good.
Yep.
I mean, not for me.
Totally not erasing the other 2, but it kind of led you down that road, making you think, okay, so you're just ignoring 2 and 3 entirely. Okay, that's fine. We'll watch this one.
Right. And the movie's like, oh yeah, ignoring them. Wink.
Yeah. It starts winking in Fast 5. That's when it really starts winking.
Is this the first Fast Saga movie to have a post-credit sequence?
Yes, I believe so. Hold on.
Because I know Tokyo Drift didn't.
That
I was enjoying that.
The credits, yeah.
Yeah, I was enjoying that outro theme song, which was Fast and Furious.
Yep.
We forgot to talk about that last episode. That was a real gem. Okay, I'll have to keep an eye out for that one. I'm trying to think if I have any expectations going forward for this, but I've been really trying not to see anything because I feel like if you look at Wikipedia, like the very first sentence of a Wikipedia article is like after these people in the crew died, these people have to go and do something. And this is the bad guy. And it's just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So
unlike the original The Fast and the Furious, which featured an extra scene after the credits, which I didn't know about, there is no extra scene after the credits of Fast and Furious.
Okay. Good to know. All right.
So yeah, you basically have zero expectations kind of thing for this thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to go in as blind as I can, other than like seeing the movie poster and being like, "Oh, cool, Dom's back. All right, yeah, Brian O. White Guy's back. Great. This will be kind of cool." Because I want to try and take this ride as blind as possible. Because I know if I would look up something, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, this starts the through line storyline that they say one line here and it ties back into this and into that and into this, and then next thing you know, Fast 8 gets spoiled."
No, the back acting, which is my new word for backronym when it comes to story, or the back canon.
I like it.
That comes into effect in 5. That's when they start really rolling the. Remember this one line we said in the first movie and this second line we said in the third.
Right, and it's sort of like, yes, sort of. Okay. All right. Well, I am excited to watch Fast and Furious.
Oh, no. It was the 17th most successful film of 2009.
Wow.
Like
17. That's not bad.
I don't know how this thing made the gangbusters it made. The only thing I can think about is Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, they're back.
Yeah.
It's all I can think of.
Interesting. All right. Well, any more notes here for Fast and Furious?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's go watch the movie.
Sounds good.
We have watched the movie, I think we called it last week, Fast & Furious in part 1. So we're here to talk about 2009's cinematic masterpiece.
Spoiler alert.
Fast and Furious.
I got a minor alert on this yesterday because yesterday we did Game Club.
Yes.
And I immediately asked you, without any spoilers, I said, did you watch Fast and Furious? And you said yes.
I said,
that's a movie.
Yep. That's a movie. Yeah. So let's recap really quick.
Sure. Fast 1 you liked. Fast 2 not as good as Fast 1. Fast 3 fine. You loved.
Yeah, it's probably for me it's 3, 1, 2 as of so far. I think I gotta say, Fast and Furious starts off on a real high note.
This one. Are we talking this movie?
Yeah.
The biggest pro I will say about this movie, it starts with a banger and it ends with a banger.
That's true.
Everything in the middle is just questionable.
The beginning, I think, is really great because it's like it sort of brings it back to some of the heist stuff from the first movie, where we have three people in cars, and here's a fuel truck, and we're gonna steal all that fuel. That's a great scene. Han is there.
Yes,
which is great.
Totally forgot to mention. We talked about this at the end of last week's show.
Yeah.
I jumped on and watched the trailer for this movie before watching it. I watched it at the end of last week's show, and the tagline for the movie was "New model, original parts."
That's right. We forgot to talk about that.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
as brilliant and as dumb as this series is in just one tagline.
Yes. Yes, the tanker scene, Han is there, which is great. It's like, wait, what?
Han's here, just for a little minute. I wrote, this is a funny sort of timing thing. I wrote Letty crush status still in effect. And then about 5
your
minutes.
crush status, or?
My crush on Letty, yeah.
Okay, yes.
And then about 5 minutes later, she dies. Okay.
What did you think about the hand throwaway line, by the way? Like,
which line?
Because at the start of the movie, after the tanker, when you've got the obligatory bums and cars scene, and they're all having a party, and Vin Diesel Dom is like, we need to go our separate ways because they're really coming at me hard now. And
he's got the heat on him.
Yes. And everybody who's with me, they are going to throw some serious numbers at anybody who's running with him. And Han's response is, well, I hear they're doing some crazy stuff out in Tokyo, so I'm probably going to head that way. It's like, okay, set the timeline straight. Yeah, Tokyo Drift takes place after this movie, clearly.
Yeah, you're putting it all together. Yeah. I did like, I feel like in 2009, I feel like we should maybe be getting away from the ladies in short skirts and small shirts dance scenes. Like, it feels, later on they're in a club, and that feels a little bit more appropriate there, but like, I'm obviously not of the street racing scene, but it sort of feels like after Tokyo Drift, like, it's 2009. Maybe we should be done with that.
Tokyo Drift had that stuff too.
It did, sure, but and I feel like that was old enough at that point, because that was what, 2006.
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it was sort of the first half of the 2000s, and I think in 2009 it was sort of like, I feel like Fast and the Furious' storyline is maybe trying to get bigger than these scenes, and there's only that one, and then there's a club scene, but. I do have to say they introduce Brian O'Connor again in a really interesting way, where it's like, I have a suit, and I'm chasing a dude through the streets in my suit. Which was...
Because? Why is he doing that?
Because he works for the FBI. Ta-da!
So, in other words, Mia, I'm a cop.
Right. Mia, I'm a cop. I kind of liked the scene up until they both jump out of the window and then land on the roof of a car, and then both of them are totally okay. And
quick point hint, start embracing that stuff now before we get too much further away.
And I sort of don't have a problem with that. I think that's always just so funny, because like, if that was real life, both of them would be like, oh God, the pain.
Especially the guy underneath who, went through the hood of the car or the roof of the car and had Brian land on top of him.
Right. And then that's kind of the movie. So thanks for listening, everyone. The rest of the movie from that point on is bad.
It's distinctly mediocre. So... yeah. Let's talk about the GPS.
So if anyone listening has not seen this movie yet up until this point, you should at least really go watch maybe the first half an hour just to be introduced to the world's weirdest GPS in this movie. and
that shows hot ladies as it counts down for a race.
Oh my god, it's so dumb. Like, just like that. I know I was just talking about like, hey, maybe we're done with these like back alley dance scenes. That is like a little touch of like Too Fast, Too Furious stupidity that I can still kind of get behind.
The back alley or the GPS?
The GPS. Ladies? You know, I'm thinking of what's her face's car, the pink car, Suki.
Suki's, yeah.
Yeah, Suki's car, where it's just like, sure, there's a bunch of anime ladies in her car. Why not? Let's lean all the way into this. The race scene between these four cars isn't the lowest point of racing in this movie, but I sure thought it was when I was watching it at that time.
And you didn't realize what was yet to come.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there are multiple way worse racing scenes.
There are moments in that street race that I really, really like. Like the drifting out the way of the car falling off the mountain above him.
That's a cool scene, dude. Like he's
not the mountain, the overpass, because they ripped that directly off of Tokyo Drift, which is the exact same thing that happens there.
That is, I feel like that's one of the coolest shots in this movie. That he's just swerving around and you know, fishtailing around this thing that's kind of falling off the overpass and then kind of careening next to him. That's a super cool shot.
Paul Walker would have won.
Paul Walker would have won. Yep. Vincent, I'm disappointed in you.
I am not, because I love it. Because it's the cutthroat attitude. It's like, oh, you just think you're so smart. With the Too Soon Dom referencing the first movie with Too Soon Jr. by Johnny Tran.
Well, it's interesting to see how much the movie is really pushing that Dom. Number one, it's been long enough that Dom is not the same guy. He's not the same sort of warm person he was towards O'Connor before, and he still really holds a grudge and has a huge chip on his shoulder towards O'Connor. Which, I mean, makes sense because
he kind of ruined his life.
Yeah, and like lied to everybody and was a cop. So it's just sort of like...
you two know each other? He used to date my sister.
Just, you're lucky you're still alive.
Yep. What did you think of Braga? Both the fake Braga and the real Braga.
I feel like that guy did a pretty good job. Like the real Braga, not the old man Braga. That guy was
fake
fine.
Braga. Yes.
Yeah, the younger true Braga. I thought he did pretty well. I feel like he was menacing enough without being cartoonish.
Yep, I think he genuinely is a really solid part in this movie. Like he pulls that first lieutenant kind of the big bad, but seriously is actually just the big bad really, really well. Yeah, because he never really gets his hands dirty either. He's got Phoenix to do all of that work for him too.
Phoenix, right?
Spell Fenix, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to,
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job of being that first lieutenant, where it's sort of like, I'm not king of the hill, but I'm really important, and you still don't want to mess with me, but you definitely don't want to mess with Braga.
Yeah,
Braga is a really great boss name, by the way.
Yes.
Of like,
so I'm guessing for the order of the movies for you, I'm guessing it's 3, 1, 2, 4 so far.
Yeah, hands down.
Rank the bad guys.
Oh man, this one's got to be up there. I think the Too Fast, Too Furious guy is probably the worst.
Yes, 100%. He goes dead last.
I think the bad guy in Tokyo Drift is probably second. And who's the bad guy in the first one?
Johnny Tran / Paul Walker / Vin Diesel, depending on how you look.
Yeah, Johnny Tran is fine. It would probably be 4, 3, 1, 2. I would have to say.
That's roughly where I would fall to, because DK is great, and this guy is just super, like, just that cockiness.
I feel like he fixes the problem with the villain in 2, which is that guy never felt dangerous. This guy does, and he's not even the boss.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty...
He feels more dangerous than Phoenix. And Phoenix is meant to be his muscle, and that tells you something about how he comes across. Gal Gadot, what did we think of Giselle, which is her name?
Not bad. I feel like
for a movie debut, I think she does pretty solidly.
Yeah, she feels like she's really pretty green, but not. I don't think she was really bad. It's just sort of like, all right, I feel like a couple more years under your acting belt, and I think you'd be really
Wonder
great.
Woman.
Yeah, you could be anyone you want, like Wonder Woman. I thought she was okay. I thought she was really great in the role of like trying to seduce Dom, and I really liked that it kind of didn't work. You know, like Dom goes through that whole laundry list of things he looks for in a woman. She goes, "That doesn't sound anything like me," and I was like, "That's a great line. That's really good."
And I like the fact that he's like, "Yeah, it's not."
Yeah.
Like, be an end all of the discussion. It's not you. Hashtag deal with it.
Yeah. God, what else? Should we talk about the tunnels?
Do we really have to?
The tunnels is some of the worst filmmaking I have seen in a really long time, and it. I think the concept is really interesting. Yes. Like you have Giselle in the earpiece, like pushing them across the border faster and faster and faster because they have the border
the thermal imaging cameras. You got the helicopter.
Like they're closing in. But every time there is a shot of any cars in the tunnel, I have no idea what is happening.
Yep.
It's just a bunch of wood and dirt and some number of cars. I don't know who's driving them or what's happening.
Yep. Did you even catch the fact that in the second tunnel chase, Dom abandons the car in the tunnels?
Yeah. Excuse me. Barely, because there's one shot in the first tunnel chase where they show like a bunch of propane tanks, and I'm like, okay, cool. So like when they come back here later, they're gonna blow those things up.
Chekhov's propane tanks.
yeah, exactly. And it's funny because that's the only thing you could tell for sure in that first race. And then of course it's the thing, like I do like when Dom abandons his car in the second tunnel chase, I do like that he just jumps into another dude's car and kicks him out and drives that dude's car away.
One might say he is a bit of a wheelman.
oh boy. Yeah. That stuff is pretty rough. And no, my last note here, I do like seeing Liza Lapira in something else. She's the FBI agent that works with O'Connor.
She's the one from the Parks and Rec Blues, something Blues? Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
She might have been in an episode of that. Yeah. I remember her from there's a show called Traffic Light. It was only like one season that no one watched.
Oh, we're thinking about different cops. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the lady from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is in this as well as one of the FBI agents.
Oh, I must not have spotted her. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I like Liza in a lot of stuff, and I feel like
is she the rookie tech assistant lady?
Yeah, she's the one that's like running plate numbers and matching cars, and they're doing the walk and talk. You know that lady.
Yes. What did we think about the FBI rivalry between Paul Walker and his Stasiak, which is a great name.
That is a really great name. I sort of didn't care about it until O'Connor
beat out of him.
Yeah, like slams his face into a wall, and his boss is like, "Hey man, go get yourself cleaned up." And he goes like, "What the hell, man? O'Connor just assaulted me." And his boss is basically like, "Oh, baby got hurt. Like, oh, go away." Like, no one cares. And I was just like,
the funny thing is like, he hit me first. He didn't. You assaulted him from behind, and he responded.
Right.
It's legitimately the opposite of what you said, and you got your nose broke for it. So,
right.
Again, hashtag deal with it. It's your own damn fault.
And I like that he just looks messed up for the whole rest of the movie. The movie doesn't take place over too many days. It's only like a handful of days. I like that every time you see him, it's just like this purple mess all over his face. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh. Let's see, we got the cop. What did you think of Dom's Batman vision? Way back at the start of the movie.
Oh Oh my god. There's so much in this movie that's just...
It's so... I hate to say it, but it's so forgettable. And the worst thing is, acting-wise, I feel like all of these characters act better than they have acted in years.
Yep.
Like, the performances from Mia, from Brian, from Dom, all really solid performances.
I think Mia's really good in this movie. I think...
I'm sorry it was hard for you to come into my life and lie to me.
Where?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like there were some scenes with Mia and O'Connor that could have been a little bit better. Like, she asks him when she walks out of the diner, like, hey, why did you let him go before? And he's just like, I don't know. Just do another take of that one. Like, that's an important scene. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think pretty much everybody stepped up their game in the years. My favorite shot of Mia, though, is the very ending right before the credits where she's driving her own car and looking like a total BA and just like, wow, you total 180 here for Mia. This is pretty great.
Not gonna lie, this is the movie where I got a crush on her.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
It's worth mentioning as well, like, I get talking about the acting, the bit where Dom gets Letty's belongings and calls her last number. Yeah. And it phones directly to Brian's phone because she was basically running as an informant for him. That's a fantastic scene.
Just him turning around after the phone rung, you're just like, oh no, Brian, get out of there. He's going to kill you.
You know exactly what's going to go down, and he literally picks him up and throws him through a shelf.
That's a hell of a fight scene, and just like he manhandles O'Connor, and it's just like, this is how strong I am. Here you go. Whoop. Like, I'm tossing you around.
You think you know how strong I am? You ain't seen nothing yet, boy.
Right.
Like, that's really good acted. Again, is it bad that this is a Fast and Furious movie and the best thing in the movie is the acting and the car bits mostly suck?
Yeah. Some pretty cool cars throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. I feel like none of them were really...
There is no hero cars.
Yeah, and none of them are really the focus either. Like, in the previous couple of movies, it's like, ooh, the car, all these cars. And there's like
let's face it, you had the muscle car and the red Skyline, I think it is in the first one, like the orange thing that they rebuild. Yeah. They're the two hero cars in that. In 2, it's probably the purple and yellow. And the cars
they're both of their cars. Yeah.
3, obviously, you've got the Mona Lisa of drifters. And then DK's black, whatever that thing is, I think it's a 270, Nissan 270. Yeah. That's amazing.
The mean looking car.
You've got the Mustang that can drift.
Yes.
But then in this movie, like, I mean, what you get? Dom's muscle car, which he takes off the inhaler on the top of it for, and uses that in the first race. That gets destroyed halfway through the movie anyway.
Yep. I feel like that was just a checkbox they're checking, where it's like, Dom's driving a muscle car, check.
He does a wheelie in a muscle car, double check, because he does one at the end, and not in the same muscle car.
Right, yeah.
Which, I do love that death for Phoenix, though, by the way.
Yeah, that's, like,
he pulls the wheelie, and then Brian holds his foot down and tries to run away.
I think that's, like, the most realistic thing, where it's sort of like, this guy's trying to run, and Brian just clamp. Just like, no way, man.
Yeah. And there's no real hero cars in it.
No.
The worst thing is, like, I like this movie. This movie is not a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. Unfortunately, 6 years earlier, Bad Boys 2 came out, which is the exact same movie.
Really? I haven't seen Bad Boys 2 in a long time.
Informant undercover with the mob boss. Cops trying to get him. Mob boss escapes from being arrested and flees to Mexico, where they get a special team to go to Mexico and kidnap the sister back from the mob boss who's in Mexico. Right. The only difference is that involves a Humvee going through favelas and a giant mansion.
Right.
This is a little bit of drifting through the day and a run through some CGI tunnels.
Yeah.
I hate the car action in this movie so much.
I think for the rest of the movie, I think you use the word forgettable, which is right. It's not a... The movie is fine. I would hesitate to call it good. I think the acting is good. I think a lot of the shots are fairly solid. I think in the non-car racing stuff, I think they're getting a better handle on being a lot clearer about characters moving from A to B, which has sort of been a problem in the series up until this point. But man, the car action stuff is just really rough up until the very last shot of the movie, where number one, we should
talk about this.
I like that Dom is like, I'm done running. And it's like, all right, well, O'Connor vouches for him and says, he was invaluable to the FBI and everything. And the judge is like, yeah, that's cool.
They actually referenced this earlier as well, which I do like, where like O'Connor agrees with the FBI guy about this deal. You cut Toretto free.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yep.
And he says that to Toretto, and he's like, "Oh, do you still put milk and cookies out for Santa Claus?"
I like that. I like that his answer is yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that the judge is like, yeah, that's cool. 25 to life. Like, you still broke a whole bunch of laws.
No parole,
dude.
No nothing.
Yep.
Bye. See you later.
And I wasn't, number one, I wasn't expecting that to happen. Number two, I wasn't expecting the movie to just have him be on the prison bus. And I was just like, cool. I guess the 5 will just open with a jailbreak, I guess, because this seems to be where the movie ends. And then the engines start, and I was like, hell yeah. This is where Fast and Furious happens. And just seeing the 3 cars like coming around
with Tego and I don't know the other guy's name, but Tego and his friend from the very beginning of the movie, looping back around to show up at the end.
Hit them and Mia and O'Connor just sort of.
But badass Mia and O'Connor driving the muscle car as well.
It's one of those shots where it's like, all right, man, like you kind of brought it back at the end, like this is going to be some, and I almost like it better that we didn't get to see the heist, see that breaking him out, because I think that's really cool, seeing him smile and then just boom, the credits.
Well, minor spoiler alert for the next movie.
Sure.
It opens with that sequence.
Dope. I like it. I'm much more excited.
You know how this movie starts and ends with a banger?
Yeah.
The next movie starts and ends with a much better banger.
There we go.
Actually, technically, the next movie starts with 2 really great bangers, man. We'll see how things go there.
Yeah, I feel like you have said throughout this whole series, this whole season, that this is your least favorite. This is a real low point for the series. And I can definitely see why it made so much money. Like, why people were so excited to see it after 2 and 3. And why...
don't forget, new model, original parts.
That's right. I could see why it brought so many people.
No, use the puns, enjoy them, embrace them.
Oh, I'm a dad. I can use all of them. I can see why it brought so many people to the theater for just like, hey, here's the sequel to the first movie. We just dropped the from the title, and it's still the same one. Let's go. And it's just not good. It's just
That's the funny thing is, it's not a bad movie.
No.
Genuinely speaking, it's not a bad movie. The CG is questionable in a lot of places.
That's the start. That's the stuff that really kills it for me, is like the race in a Fast and Furious movie. You want, especially coming off of Tokyo Drift, where it's just like, here's an hour and a half of real racing. Fast and Furious having all of this CG tunnel business is...
The tunnels is the worst idea.
It's a real bummer.
It's okay doing little bits in tunnels. Like, I'm pretty sure there was tunnels in the street race at the start of the movie, but that was still a majority of live action stuff.
Yeah.
And there was tunnels in, I think, in Tokyo Drift, the way they did go through a tunnel at some point. Spoiler alert, there's tunnels coming up as well, but they're not like entire sequences in a tunnel.
Yeah, like minutes
going through a small tunnel,
right,
while they're racing elsewhere.
And I couldn't even imagine how difficult it would be to shoot those tunnel scenes for real.
Practically, yes.
It'd be
impossible.
Yeah, it would be nearly impossible, which suggests maybe find a different way. But I'm not a filmmaker, so I can't say for sure. But that, to me, really sullies a lot of this movie I feel like that brings so much down, but all the stuff we've been talking about, like the acting and the cinematography, the villain is really great. Gal Gadot is great. Like there's the only thing that's a bummer about Gal Gadot, I wish we got to see that she had like some really cool car. I just wanted her to like drive up and be like burp, burp, and her
you got
pop her head
little
out.
Porsche at the end of it is pretty much all you get.
Yeah, she had some like super baller car, and we never really got to see that. But yeah, this movie is just a bummer, and it's not, like you said, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie, but like I wrote on Twitter, it's an hour and 45 minutes, and I watched it and I went, okay, like that was a film.
Yep.
And it's not something I'm upset about, but just sort of like just one missed opportunity after another.
Yeah. So we've hit the low point. Obviously, next week we have a different intro to record.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about this now, so hopefully I don't mention it next week and you forget about it by then, which I know you will, so that's fine.
Perfect, yes.
2 days ago or something, someone mentioned 5 perfect movies. Like movies that you define as perfect.
Sure.
Number 1 on my list was Fast 5.
Okay.
Not that I'm going to hype this up or anything.
No, I have heard... I feel like Fast 5 is the one I've heard the most about. Is that the bank heist one?
That is the heist movie, yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that is where it decides we've done Point Break.
Right.
We've done Two Buddies. We've done kind of a different Point Break style, but sure. We've done the Police Academy 1 and 4. What else can we do?
Right.
So 5 is the shift to a heist movie, yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I am this is definitely the low point here, but I am definitely excited to get to 5 to sort of see how they start to sew all this stuff together.
Because you already are aware that 5 is the one that starts bringing everything back into it. Like, that's when they think, let's just embrace 1 and 2.
Yep.
Let's embrace 3, see how things go, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited for I feel like we finished, to use the Marvel Cinematic Universe terminology, I feel like we finished Phase 1, and now we're moving on to Phase 2.
Wait, does that make Fast & Furious the Avengers of the Fast and Furious
definitely
franchise?
Does not. So maybe 1 through 5, and maybe 5 is the Avengers. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, but I'm excited to watch this one, this next one, especially coming off the heels of sort of the lowest low, sort of hitting what seems to be everyone's favorite one. So. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you for the next movie. Bye.
Bye.